Good morning, students. Today is our first science lesson. It is Friday, the 11th of June, 2021. Everybody, please stand up. Good morning, students. Everybody, please sit down. So, what are we going to learn this year? For unit number 1, we're going to be learning scientific inquiry. That is a very hard word that we're going to learn all about. What is science? And we're going to learn what science is by learning the scientific method, science process skills, and the scientific mind. Unit number 2 is going to be about our surroundings. We're going to learn what is living, what is non-living. Like, I'm living, but this wall is not living. For unit number 3, we're going to learn all about plants. We're going to learn how they grow, how they eat, all about plants. Now, for unit number 4, we're going to learn about materials. There's all sorts of different materials like glass and plastic and metal and concrete and wood, and we're going to learn all about them. And we're also going to learn about recycling. In Unit 5, we're going to be learning about light. Where does light come from? How do we know if it's light? Do we have light while it's nighttime? What are different sources of light? Can we see light? Can we see colors? And finally, Unit 6 is all about soil. Why do we need soil? What is soil made of? Why do plants need soil? The first unit that we are going to get started on is the scientific inquiry. Like I said before, this is going to be like, what is science? The first unit is all about what is science. And we use the scientific method, the scientific process skills, and the scientific mind to learn what is science. I know these are all very hard words, like method and inquiry and process and mind. So we are going to learn what all of these words mean. Let's get started with only 2 words. What does science mean, and what does a fact mean? We will learn inquiry, method, process, and experiment next time. So we don't need to worry about this right now. For today's lesson, we're going to talk about science and facts. What is science? Let's read it together, okay? I'll read it by myself first, and then I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to read it together. Are you ready? Facts. We learn, I should say, science first, but where is my eraser? Let's find our eraser first. There you are. Alright. There's my eraser. Now, let's go back to our pen. And let's read together. Ready? Science. Facts we learn about the world using experiments and observation. Are you ready? Let's read again, but we are reading together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Science. Facts we learn about the world using experiments and observation. Very good. Ready? Now, let's read what a fact is. A fact is something we know is true about the world based on science and observation. Now you know what a science and a fact is. I'm just kidding. Let's look into it a bit more. How about we watch a video to learn about science? Are you ready? Go! Wow, that's cool. Did you ever see an egg tree before? I want to grow an egg tree so I can eat eggs every day. What do you know? Science is so cool. Well, let's ask a couple questions about our video. 1. Can we grow an egg tree? I don't know. I've never seen an egg tree before. But maybe we can. Why don't you try it at home? I'm just kidding. We can't grow an egg tree. An egg comes from chickens. Unless you can draw a chicken tree. Do we have chicken trees? Well, what about this one? How do we learn about stars and planets. Can you do an experiment about stars and planets? Well, maybe. But we also can observe. You see this word over here? Observation. Observation is when we watch something and we can learn about it. So, if we learn about stars and planets, it's because we watch them. We look at the sky at night with a microscope or a telescope, and we can learn all about astronomy, which is the study of the stars in the sky and the planets. But what about baking a cake? Is that science too? I wonder. What do we need to do to bake a cake? We have a lot of tools. We have a lot of ingredients. And we have an oven here. So what about all of these ingredients? Mixing them sure sounds like science. You have to mix all of it and then put it in this pan and then put it in the oven. I mean, there's a lot of steps. It sure sounds like an experiment to me. Like, how long do we bake it for? So how long is it in the oven? 1 minute? 1 second? 1 hour? I don't know. And how hot do we make the oven? Can we put it outside and it'll cook into a cake? No. Can we put it in the sun and bake a cake? No, we have to put it in the oven. But how hot? If it's too hot, like if we put the cake in the sun, will that bake into a delicious cake? I don't think so. And what about the ingredients? We have sugar and flour and butter and eggs. But if we want to make one cake, do we need 100 eggs? I think that's way too many eggs. Can we use 1 bag of flour? No. Maybe we need only 1 cup of flour. Or 2 cups of flour. And sugar, if we put too much sugar, it's too sweet. If there's too little sugar, it will taste like bread. So, we need to follow a method or a process, and we'll learn more about that next time. Let's look at what happens if we bake the cake too little or too long. Over here you can see the cake. It's only 25 minutes. At 25 minutes, it's not a beautiful color. It looks like it's not cooked enough. But look here, 40 minutes, the cake is almost black. It looks like it's burnt, and it might be dry and not tasty. But what do you think is the best? Do you like 30 minutes or 35 minutes more? To me, I think 30 minutes looks the best. And if we do something like this, where we have 25, 30, 35, and 40 minutes, and we want to see what time is the best, that is an experiment. We just learned that 30 minutes is the best amount of time to bake the cake. What about the temperature? What if the temperature is too low? It's not hot enough, or it's too hot? Well, let's take a look at 100 40 Celsius. Well, we can see that it's too light. It's damp, sunken, and pale. Those words mean not tasty and not delicious. But what if we put it too high? Now you can see the color is burnt and black, and it looks dry, and it also looks maybe like it's not delicious. How about 180? It looks a bit crispy, and maybe a little bit dry. And what about 160? Ooh, I think that is perfect. It has a good shape, and it looks delicious to me. So now we learn that if we bake a cake for 30 minutes and 160 Celsius, we will have a delicious cake. And that is a science experiment. What is a fact? A fact is something we know is true about the world based on science and observation. Something that we know based on science and observation is a fact we can make from an observation. How about fire is hot? What is fire? Let's take a look. Ooh, there we go. A perfect drawing of fire. I'm just kidding. This is fire. You can see fire is really hot. I think it's even hotter than 100 Celsius. You can burn your hand on fire. And you can cook delicious food with fire. It can keep you warm at night. Fire is a very, very important tool. But it is true that fire is hot. If you don't believe me, you can go and play with fire and you'll see fire is hot. No, please don't play with fire. It is very hot and it's very dangerous. Next is rocks are hard. Are they hard? Well, if you look at this wall, this is made from rocks. This material is called cement, and cement is made out of small rock powder, and they use it to make walls. So is this hard? I think so. Let's take a look at one big rock. Ooh, look at that kid. I think his name is Tanjiro, and he cut that rock in half. Can you cut a rock in half with your sword? You should go and try it. I think it's a lot harder than it looks. And last but not least, another fact is Teacher Andy thinks he's handsome. That's right. He thinks he's handsome. That is a fact. Is he really handsome though? I don't know. What do you think? I think he looks good with a mustache and an evil beard. And maybe he should have a hat. Perfect. Now, let's take a look at our homework. Your homework today is to have a fun weekend and come to school on Monday smiling. That's right. You don't have any homework from Teacher Ariel today. Thank you, class, and goodbye.